G'day guys, Matt from Howell Heavy Duty. We are the machine shop for a 60-year-old Aussie drilling company based in Central Queensland, and our job in here is to fix all of the gear that drillers break and make all the custom gear they need to get the holes dug. Today we're building a jackleg extender for the big rig. So this is the machine that is going to send a 3-metre drill bit 250 metres deep for underground mining and ventilation holes. So that's, for my American friends, 10 feet wide, 800 feet deep. It's a crazy setup. And so I need to build a jackleg extender to level the rig out properly. Because they've packed so much gear into this one big machine, the stroke on one of the jack legs, they actually couldn't get it complete, so there's got to be an extender put underneath it. So that's what we're making today. And to do that, I have to drill a 110 mil hole, so just over 4 inches, that's about 450 to 500 mil deep into a piece of 4140 steel. I'm going to be using this drill. It's a shop-made tool called the Kraken, and it's a wild bit of gear. Every time I run this now, because of some of the trouble we've had in the past, I think to myself, yep, that's the last time I'm going to run that. Fuck that. It's a wild bit of gear. You'll see it in the video for sure. Problem is the length of this pilot drill. Normally on a HTS drill, they're actually quite short, and it's just to centralize it, and then it plows through using the carbide tips here. Because this is such a big pilot, it's 30 mil in diameter, it uses up a lot of the Z-axis load on the machine. That's how hard it's pushing this way. And once it pushes through, like goes right through the billet, there's nothing really to centralize it, because that doesn't do it. It's the tip pushing in that keeps it central. So there's every possibility it's going to break an insert or pull the nose out, which it's done before. So this may be the last time I run the Kraken. We'll soon see. It's going to make for an interesting episode, that's for sure. Anyway, that's enough. Let's get into it. All right, so on the left is the jackleg extender from our second largest rig, which has appeared in many other videos. And so I've got to just do a larger version of that using the billet on the right there, or on the left now. And what I need to do is drill a 110 mil hole right up the guts of that. Now to do it, I am going to pop it in the big lathe, face it off, and because the bore in the big lathe is 6 inches or 155 mil, what I'm going to do is face it off and then turn it down, because the billet currently is about 160 mil, so I'm going to turn down 10 mil off it so that I can flip it around and then stuff most of it into the guts of the lathe. And by doing that, I can then not have to run a steady and run the drill as hard as I like. So we're going to face it off, center drill it, and then turn it down, and then we're going to bring out the Kraken, my favorite shop-made tool. Second favorite. The Beast's actually my favorite. Now that that billet is turned around and nice and snugly in the lathe, I'm going to face it and turn it down just so that it's fully machined. Quick way to do that, whether I'm facing it or turning it, is to just use the rapid feed but dial it back to 1%, and then just use your buttons there for either going Z or X. It's much quicker than having to use the hand wheel or write a program.
Alrighty, we're going to pop in the bird box. This is our cross slide tool holder. This thing has totally expanded what I can do with this little Alpha 1760. So it bolts directly onto the cross slide of the lathe and it allows me to run the Kraken, the Beast. We've also got the Beast's our largest boring bar for the CNC, and also a bar we call the Hydra, which is a multi-headed bar. Anyway, I'm going to give it a little wipe off here and then install the Kraken. This is my favorite shop made drill.
The really neat thing about the cross slide tool holder is it's insanely rigid. Like, I can use the Beast and take, 5mm cuts, no problem at all, hanging out 1/2 meter or, 1.5 foot. This thing is keyed in to the cross slide, and it's also milled along one side so that when I drop it into the lathe, I just have to butt it up against the other tool post and it's ready to go. Nothing needs to be dialed in. It's just ready to rock and roll. So it is a very, very useful bit of gear for the lathe. Definitely worth making. Okay, so the last time we ran the Kraken, and it wasn't into a blind hole. So into a blind hole, that nose doesn't seem to be a problem. It's not ideal, but because you end up with a hole extra that long. We didn't have any problems with it, but every time I've gone to drill it through, we get vibration because the nose is no longer centralizing it. We get vibration, and if that inner insert breaks, then you've got issues. Now, last time we had the nose fell off, we had to then knock it out from the back of the lathe with a big long stick and then make up a bronze nose just as a centralized locator that was tightly secured in there to just sucker punch our way through. Like, it was one of those, it was the most white knuckle type moment I've had running that big CNC, because like, it sounded horrible, it was just brutal, but you've got to do what you've got to do. This is what happened last time.
Keep this thing for a while, just in case you get stuck again.
Shut up.
Yeah, boys. I'm not even going to lie, I'm retiring the Kraken. That sucked. Oh, that was stressful. And here we go again. Anyway, so I didn't retire the Kraken. We haven't bought a 110mm HTS drill, and we're gonna go all the way through again. Wish me luck. I'm going to run it at 200 RPM because that's what a 30mm high-speed steel drill would be run at. We're going to do a 2.5mm peck drill. All that means it's going to go in and drill for 2.5mm, pull itself back out to clear the swarf away and give the Z-axis thrust motor a break, and then it comes back in again. So let's see how this goes. The feed is quite low on this. I've only got it being pushed at 0.05 millimeters per revolution, because last time I can dial it up to 0.07 with the manual adjustment there, but the Z-axis load just goes off the chart, and that is because of that nose. The high-speed steel nose takes up more than half of the Z-axis thrust. That just means how hard it is pushing into the billet, and we're just limited on this particular machine. So we're going to give it lots of the pink lemonade. This is a coolant called Hole Maker. You can see I've got extra coolant flowing into it there from the nozzle. That's just to clear out the pilot drill when it pulls out of its peck cycle. Most of the coolant is actually going through the tool. I've just pulled it up for a sec because the Z-axis meter went over 100%, meaning either there's a busted insert or the pilot drill is blunt. I checked it, it's actually an insert is chipped, so I'm going to put a nice fresh insert into this. This thing's pretty hardy. Like, you would think when it's going in that it's actually smashing up against the billet, but it's not. It pulls up just shy of it and then goes in as part of the peck drill. So just going to quickly change this insert, and then I'll show you what the broken one looks like. It had definitely been chipped. These inserts have actually gone through a lot. It's the first time I've actually had to change them on this tool. And you can see there, that is what was drawing the extra load, obviously. But they're ridiculously hardy. Like, even after doing that last job, still didn't even chip an insert. It's only just now that it's finally given way. So pretty happy with that. We'll swap it out and then we'll get back to drilling. And I always put this little board up whenever I'm changing inserts. One, it's just nice to work on a tidy workplace, but also for anyone that's ever worked on CNCs, or tools in general, these screws are tiny and you're always going to drop one. At least if I drop it, it'll land on the board most of the time. Otherwise, I get to play the fun game of Where's Wally, looking for a screw in amongst a million little pieces of swarf that all look like screws. I'm still not happy with how it's cutting. It's just making a lot more noise than it did last time. The inserts are fine, I've just checked them. So what I'm going to do is take the pilot drill out and give it a good sharpen and polish. I'm also going to relieve the web, the part up the center of the drill, just to see if I can increase the amount of thrust that I'm putting on this. I will change that in the programming in a sec. You can see that the high-speed steel drill is actually a little bit chipped. So I'm going to use our little diamond polisher here to just tickle the edge there and sharpen it all up. And by doing that, it'll cut a lot neater, and hopefully I can reduce the Z-axis load from this pilot drill and make it so that I can push harder to try and get it to chip so that it doesn't squeal as much. So we're going to find out. That's actually cutting heaps better. Relieving the web has actually given me heaps more load that I can push it with. It's chipping nicely, the best it's ever cut, fingers crossed. It just made a pop sound that I didn't like. I'm pretty sure it's busted the inner insert, or it's lost the nose. No, the nose is still there. So let's see what the damage is. And I'm not going to say what I was actually wanting to say, but that's not good. We'll have to inspect the damage, but I'm not running that thing again. It's very frustrating. It's just that last little bit, because the pilot nose vibrates and it shatters the insert that sits right beside it. It's very frustrating. It's fine on blind holes, but yeah, that's the end of the Kraken. I'm definitely not going to run that tool again. I know I said that last time, but it actually costs a lot of time and mucking around, and I need a reliable tool. So RIP, my friend, the Kraken. Will inspect the damage at the very, very end. But yeah, for the minute, what we're going to do is flip that billet over to the Hulk, where we'll finish it all off and assemble the jack leg holder, and we'll get it sent over to be welded together. That's poor old Kraken. It tries its best, but it is a shop-made tool at the end of the day. he's preheating this to weld it up, I'd just like to take a minute to congratulate Ash, one of our Boilermakers. He has just finished his apprenticeship, and what's really cool about that is Ash chose to become a Boilermaker in his 30s just because he wanted a career change, and I love that, so well done, bro. It's almost knock-off time, and unexpectedly little teddy bear's been dropped off, so Murray, myself and Teddy are just going to go for a quick buggy ride and see what's happening in the yard. Mega drill. It's a little one, Teddy, like you. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. While we were scooting around on the buggy, old Teddy found Curtis's Christmas present. What have you found, buddy bear? It couldn't be a rotten old Franna crane. It's a fixer-upper, isn't it, Teddy bear? Mate, this thing's got more rust than crane. Oh. 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 Yeah. I'm only kidding. I think one Franna rebuild's enough for any man in his lifetime. Colour was right though. Great comment from last week was, what is it with Aussie machine shops and Franna cranes? So, truth is, we've had two wobbly cranes for the last decade. The one on the right there is older than me, but they're a 7 and a 9 tonne respectively. And they up until recently did the job for us, but we had to buy a 20 tonne Franna to be able to lift all the mega drill components. The wobblies just can't do it. They're old Chamberlain cranes. Funnily enough though, even the 20 tonne Franna, it can't lift the mega drill components either. And we've got a bigger one to make. So it looks like we've got to get a 40 tonne Franna, which is just wild. I much prefer driving the wobblies. And if you're wondering why they're lifting that 5 tonne mega drill, they're bringing it over to the machine shop because that flange there that you can see on the left, when they welded it, it's actually pulled, so it's no longer true. So I have to figure out a way of how to machine that true again, but that's for next week.
So the part turned out really nice. I would have liked to have catched that little top cap, which was an interesting piece to make, but we had both lathes going at once. So I was drilling in that one and Ronnie was spinning that up because it was a part that had to go out like straight away. So, but that episode was pretty much a send-off to the Kraken. I really enjoyed running that tool originally, and it was just sort of a quirky sort of thing that once you figured out how to run it, and as long as it was running in a blind hole, not trying to go all the way through, it had held up just fine. We did a bunch of work with it, but I just, like I said to you at the start, 50-50, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. So yeah, the Kraken's definitely retired. There's a 110mm HTS drill coming, which I'm really excited about because I won't have to peck drill with it, I don't think, which means it'll just plow its way through and I can monitor the load. Listen, words here, it's late in the afternoon. So that will be, I'll show you that in a future video anyway, when we'll no doubt get to test it out. Everything's getting bigger around here. So that's it from me this week. Guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks to everyone who likes, shares, comments. You know, I put these up on a Friday afternoon and it really does just brighten my week when I get to read all the really cool comments. So I will see you on the next one and I'll see you in the comments.